Three, two, one. Welcome back to Steel City Screams. My name is Ashley Ray,
I'm Brindamai.
and today we have a very special guest.
Mr. Anthony. Hi. Welcome to
Me?
Steel
Oh,
City Screams.
hi. I thought somebody was like gonna walk through the door and I was gonna be super surprised, but no, it's just me.
You.
We love you. You're awesome. How are you today?
I'm actually doing very well. Thank you for asking. It's
Of
been
course.
it's been a rough couple of weeks, but not in a bad way, just like in a busy, nonstop moving kind of way.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Anthony, tell people about you. How did you get into acting? What drove you into it?
Um, what got me into it? I mean, it's kind of a weird story. I never thought it was even possible, because it's like when people talk about, like I'm an actor or I'm a model or those I'm not a model, but like when you have those conversations with people, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, that's cool, whatever. And it just kind of falls flat and it just doesn't feel like it's an obtainable kind of career. So I never thought it was even possible. Um, but then I kind of think back and I'm like, I've done this my whole life in a way. The whole cliche, like I started doing, theater in grade school that took me through school. I would do theater in high school. When I left school, I would do cosplay. In fact, I've got stuff kind of chilling behind me there too. I don't know if you followed any of the stuff I've ever done, but like I do Captain Jack Sparrow, Iron Man, Tony Stark, Spider-Man, Riddler, Constantine. There's a Power Ranger back there too. I
Power
started
Rangers,
doing
I was
so
gonna
like
say.
I've
Oh yeah.
transitioned from like theater in high school into cosplay, conventions, and playing with characters, which in a way is just impersonating, which is still acting. So it wasn't actually until a good friend of mine, Dan Nye, who actually lives out in LA right now. He's a kind of a veteran actor himself. He reached out to me one day and he was like, "Hey, why don't you just go do a monologue for my agent when he was living here in Ohio, that is." So I did. It was not great. I don't know why they signed me, but they did to the agency. And so for like the first maybe 3 years of my professional acting career, I didn't do anything. I wasn't able to book anything. I didn't know anything. I didn't go to school or anything like that. So like I was failing hard to the point of like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. And then I booked a commercial, and then things started to like, the wheels were turning a little bit. I was starting to understand the difference between being in theater versus being in front of a camera doing commercial type stuff because that world is so different. So what really got my start in it all was doing commercial work through the agency, and then fast forward, I started doing. I can't even talk now. Um, keep me busy while I drink this.
Of course. Well, you'll have to tell us about that little guy too down there.
Oh, this little guy? I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
Okay.
He's my buddy. He keeps me company sometimes.
I love him.
Um, I started getting into film. I started doing short films, student films, and then before you know it, I started getting bigger and bigger projects. So now I'm working on like ridiculously big projects, at least compared to, where I started. So like, yeah, Ashley, we just came off of a project that we shot in New York. We actually just came from the premiere, what, last weekend for Shredded, Adam
Yep.
Michael and Michaela's big project.
Yeah. Which Anthony was the film was called Shredded, and Anthony was great in it. He had a lead role. He played Logan, and it was super exciting because that was a lot of my film career has been crew work and just some short stuff. So this was the first time I've ever done like a premiere, and it was really cool to see how um, specifically for your characters and that film specifically, how it made an impact on people. And it was one of those things where I was kind of like, I remember some girl came up to me and she was saying how much the movie meant to her, and it was like, wow, and that feels good whether you're crew or acting. So it was a cool experience.
Yeah, just being able to, tell a story about being so open and vulnerable that other people are able to actually relate and kind of see it themselves. Like it was a very positive night. People had a lot of positive things to say. You could tell that it affected a lot of people in a very good way. The film, if you're unfamiliar with, it's a story between these two people who both have broken, shattered lives at the time that you meet them. They're on their own individual path, and they're kind of fighting their own internal demons based off of trauma. And when their paths finally cross, they notice in each other that they share that same quality of, trying to hide behind the metaphorical mask. And when they identify it in each other, they try to help each other get through that trauma that keeps holding them back, to the point where, they clash at one point, and then they make up, and they clash again, and they continue to go back and forth until their walls finally come down, and then they realize that they can just find a way to live and be happy, and they help each other in that way. And Michaela, who was also a writer director, she played the lead opposite me in this. Um my character had overcome a form of cancer, and Michaela's character had gone through an accident, which kind of um, changed the trajectory of her life. Like she used to be a dancer, and then because of the injuries, she would no longer be able to do that. So she felt lost, confused, didn't know what to do. And of course, my character was kind of in the same boat, not really knowing, what or if tomorrow will come. So they were able to help each other get through that. And being able to see the people in the theater kind of react to it accordingly, knowing that like they either know somebody close in their life who's going through something very similar, or they themselves have gone through something similar, to show them that, like, no matter how hard your issue or your closest one's issue is, there is still light at the end of a tunnel, and you can still get there as long as you really try. So that was really kind of cool.
Yeah, is that do you have a specific genre that you like acting in best? Or
So that's the thing. This one that we just did, that we were just talking about, was one that I don't do a whole lot of, which is fun. That was a nice change of pace. The majority of the work that I do is usually horror based. If I know, right? If I'm not the villain in the story that we're doing, I'm probably dying as another character. So either way, I have been somewhat typecast in the horror genre, which I'm not mad about by any means. So as far as what I like to play, I do like being mischievous, even if it means I have to be the villain.
yeah.
Period.
That's what, yeah, well, for me too, Shredded, because I usually do horror as well. It was very different, but it was, like we said, it was a rewarding experience to be able to go from, whether you're just doing horror, and that can have a lot of meaning to it as well. Sometimes it's just fun and, whatever. And then to go to something where no matter who watch it goes through something, you good friends?
I
I'm
think
kind of
she's like trying
opposite.
to send signals.
I think so too. She's like, Ashley, shut up.
Wait, is that working? Yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm so sorry. I just was like, the sun is like blaring in, and I have my friggin' blinds closed. Ignore me. It's always chaotic on my end when we're here.
It's always chaotic, period.
It's fair. Not so much on my
Um,
end. I'm just kind of chilling, but I get it.
I actually don't remember what I was saying, so we
Darn,
can
I'm
move
so
on.
sorry.
No, you're fine. It's okay.
I do have to say though, I had the honor to read the script and I was gonna try to come and work on that set, and unfortunately I couldn't make it work. And I'm really excited to see the film eventually because reading the script, it was such a beautiful script. And although we haven't met in person yet, which is crazy, this is actually our first face to face. So funny.
Wait,
Yeah,
is it really?
yeah,
I know we've spoken on the phone quite a few times, but yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the first time. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
I did.
Wow. This is a meeting in my presence.
But
Well,
I've seen a lot of your work, Anthony, and you are very talented and amazing. So I can't wait to see your performance in this film because I have a very, very good feeling that you blew it out of the park or, hit the ball out of the park kind of thing. Haha.
Hit the ball out of the water, I think is what we're going for.
Sure. Yeah, that. But I am honestly, I'm a little fan of you. You're awesome and you're really talented. And so
Thanks.
and I'm really, really excited to like finally work with you because I've just heard such great things about you as far as work, as far as how you are in person in general. And you have a great personality. As we've talked on the phone here already, I'm like, I love this guy. I want to work with him all the time now.
Oh, you're so sweet. In fact, I'm actually really excited. Let you do you want to talk about what we're going to be doing?
Absolutely.
I don't know what we
So
can and cannot say though.
I know
we'll
we have
cut
to
it
let
if we
Bryn.
need to. We'll cut it if we need to.
Okay, I think this is going to be like one of those Marvel interviews where like Mark Ruffalo says something bad, realizes he's screwed up, and then the other cast members just kind of like shush him off stage.
God darn it, Mark.
Well, last time we had that happen, but it was Bryn who gave away a
Yeah,
spoiler.
I'm the one who I was like, shit. And then I was like, we'll just cut it. We'll just cut it. And obviously I cut it and I was like, God damn it. Um, but obviously by now you've definitely read the script for Never Return. At least I hope you have.
I mean, I certainly have it printed out, 3-hole punched, and is in a binder waiting for us to get on it.
Hell yeah. But talk about your character a little bit. What's been your process like going through the script? What character work have you done so far? Tell people about Paul.
Uh, so, this is always the fun part, at least when it comes down to building these characters, is uh I do things a little backwards. I know I've worked on quite a few projects and I meet quite a few people, and everybody like at one point or another we kind of talk about this process too. Like, we pick each other's brains as actors do, and like what's your process? How are you going through it? And I feel like I'm always the odd man out when we have this conversation because I feel like I do my process like bass backwards here. And what I mean is like I I mean, obviously, you read the script and you kind of pick apart the character based off of the words, but obviously there isn't really anything to go off of other than your own mental pictures. In the same respect that when anyone were to read a book of fiction, like if we were to read Harry Potter before the movies came out, we all have our own mental idea of how these characters look. And then when the movie comes out, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't quite picture him that way, but I see what you're doing. That's fine. So when it comes to Paul, like I'm already kind of picturing him a certain way, but I have a feeling that he's not going to come to life until I start interacting with the rest of my friend group. Because that's kind of what this story is going to start on, is there's a group of us who are, well, to try and keep things as buttoned as I can, I'll just say that there's like camaraderie, as most friend groups tend to have. And so I feel as though once we all start kind of interacting and start like bouncing just general ideas off of each other, that's when Paul's really going to get created. So in the moment right now, he's sitting over here as this kind of hopeful, I know there's a few sections where he's like trying to keep the peace and he's trying to bring everybody back to reality a little bit, but at the same time, I know that once we all start communicating, that's probably going to turn on a dime. Obviously, I'm not going to talk too much about where Paul goes in this story and how he develops, because I have a feeling that this is going to be like a Marvel movie where things are going to change even on me last minute.
Is there any
Oh,
with Paul, do you see anything any similarities between you and your character, or is he vastly different from you?
Oh no, he's absolutely me. In a good way, what I mean. For example, every single character, and I think it was Meryl Streep who actually said this quote that kind of resonates with me, is that you don't ever, when you're playing another character, you're not just playing somebody that's completely different from you. You're not looking at that. You're looking at how do you how are you similar to this person? And then you kind of flesh in the peripherals to kind of make that character real. So you find the connection that you have with this person. How am I this person? And then you just kind of start coloring in everything around it, and then that's when the character just starts to develop. Obviously, she didn't say everything I'm saying, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
yes, I do feel as though I am Paul. At least the logical side of me tends to feel a bit more Paul. And I know that when we all start kind of getting together and that wall starts to come down, I'm going to feel much more uh deflated and more in his skin to where I can just kind of chill. I know the last film that I did kind of worked in the same way. Actually, I just got off of a project 2.5 weeks ago. I was in Kentucky for about 14 days on The Boy from Below. Tori Jones from Jonestown just did a big, big film. And again, it was a small group of us. I think there were about 7 friends, and I was the stoner friend of that group. So,
hell yeah.
again, I read the character, I look at some of the text, and I realize, all right, this is kind of where he's going. But then once you get together with the group of people, you all start building a dynamic and you figure out where you fit in that group. And then, I mean, to get into the character, I mean, all I had to do was get high every single day for 2 weeks to play a stoner friend. So that was fun.
Hell
Interesting.
Method much, maybe?
very much method. That's
Um, yeah, that seemed like a really cool project, and you worked with Kamara Cole, who she was in Macabre Mountain. She was my other half on in that. It was Monica and Shelby, and I love Kamara. And when I saw you guys were working together, I was like, Kamara, I
Yeah.
know Anthony.
Oh my God, I
So
love her. She's so awesome. Yeah, no, that was
she
that was
has
such a great.
been, yeah, oh, I'm sorry. She has been like a big sister to me in this film world, which I think sometimes you need. And it's really cool, and I'm glad you got to work with her, and I'm glad she got to work with you.
Wait, does she know that we're working on this next project together?
I don't know. I'll have to tell
Hmm.
her.
I think we're
we'll
gonna have to
definitely
reach out and be like, "Yo, I think it's time you come hang out with us for a minute."
Yeah.
You would do it. She's actually gonna be here in Cincinnati within the next week or so because she's working on another project.
Placid Park.
Placid Park, yeah.
Placid Park, that's the one. Yeah, I only know that because the last film that I got off of also Roman is going to be a part of, and Spooky Madison, of course, she's in it, whom of which I was with on Boy and who I work with in Office too. So yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Hell
we
yeah.
worked with Roman on Macabre Mountain.
naturally.
So, yeah,
Roman is
yes.
also attached here for Never Return.
I saw that. I'm so excited to get to work with him again. He's so
Roman,
great.
he's dope. He's funny. He keeps the, you know, what's the best word? The fun of it moving. He's always just like all over the place, bouncing everywhere. And I'm like, Roman,
Hmm.
chill.
Vaping.
Oh, yep, vaping, 100%.
That
I know
too,
we were
that
shooting a
too.
scene on like this dirt road, and it was, like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And I'm standing there just watching the scene, and Roman's chilling in his little chair, and he's got his umbrella stuck to it, and he's got like one of these LEDs next to it, so he's got a green light, and he's just hitting this vape pen so hard. There's a little ravine like right in front of us where the main street and the driveway kind of meet, and he's just like filling it with the smoke. So with this green light at 2 in the morning, it looks like something out of Beetlejuice. It was fantastic. This man, I tell you.
That's literally how I remember him
Oh,
on set.
good.
Literally. Oh my gosh. I think when we finally are able to get on set, there's going to be a lot of people that know each other, a lot of people that don't, and I just, from talking to everybody, I'm really excited to see all the dynamics between you guys as a cast, and then of course like a lot of the crew are like friends of friends of friends, so it's like I think collectively it's going to be a very fun shoot, honestly, especially the night shoots. The night shoots I'm so pumped for with you guys. I don't know how everybody's gonna do, but me, I'll be thriving at 4 a.m.
I mean, I'm sure delirium will set in quick, and then we'll all just run on autopilot as these things tend to go. But you're absolutely right. It's funny how small the world really is, at least in the indie film world. You know, we've all either worked on the same project or we've worked with the same person on a separate project, and either way, eventually all of our paths will end up crossing.
100%.
Except for you and I, this is the first time we get to work together finally. I know I
I
got to work with Ashley a
know.
ton of times now.
Well, when we get together in person soon, that'll be a great moment. I'm trying to watch how I phrase things.
I was gonna say you're leading me down this road, and I'm very curious as to where you're going with it.
You'll
I
get
am
the
too.
detail after we finish recording.
Ah, got it.
Yeah. Um, so I'm curious because the other day when I went live on Facebook with Alexis, I asked her what character she liked the most besides her own. So, is there another character that you're excited to, you know, see how the connection goes on camera or just in general as you've read the script that you've resonated with?
That's not a fair question to ask me. How dare you? How dare you? Um, so there isn't a specific character that I'm very interested in getting to kind of see how it pans out in any way. I don't really think on any project I've been a part of where there's always been one character that's going to stand out that always holds my attention. And I do know, however, that when production begins and I start watching everybody do their thing and I watch the mojo flow, it's at that point I do notice one or two characters that stand out that I didn't realize before, and I'm super honed in on them. I don't know if it's because the actor is doing such an amazing job playing this character in a completely different way than how I would have read it in the script, and it just blows me away. But I promise you, whatever I'm already thinking is not going to be consistent when the time comes because I know I'm going to get blown away by somebody's performance, and I don't want to get my head too far into that game.
I was gonna
Respect.
say you were supposed to say Lisa, but your answer was pretty good.
I'm I I'm sorry, it must have cut out. I led with Lisa,
Oh, right,
but
right. Okay, I'm sorry. It did cut out. I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Oh
My
my
bad.
gosh. So, Anthony, let's talk a little bit about the script real quick before we hop into some Indiegogo stuff. So, if you had to pick a part in the script
yeah.
without spoiling,
Oh God. Okay.
if it's something that's like spoiler material, then you got to reel
Oh,
it in. But is there a particular part in the script that I know, like I said, once you get on set, it's going to be a whole different dynamic for you as an actor. But
yeah.
is there a scene that you're really excited to watch, to perform while we're on set as of right now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is. There's one that I'm really looking forward to, but it's near the end of the film. It's It's spoiler heavy. Do you want to put a black censor bar over my mouth?
You could do that.
I mean, yes, there is a scene that I'm very, very interested in doing. Um, I really don't want to say a specific about it because I know it's going to give something away and I don't want to be that guy. But there's like, we all grow up with our own favorite horror films that we end up watching. One of them for me is Scream, the original Scream, right?
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Lillard I love this man. I know you got to meet him recently and I'm so jealous. I would love to meet this man. But anyways, so Matthew Lillard's character in Scream has a very unique scene near the end, and I'm very interested in being able to parallel what happens. Again, I'm trying not to say too much. Like I'm very excited for a particular scene that's happening near the end of this film that does kind of tread on some spoilerisms. So how dare you? How dare you bring this up?
Is
Can't
okay, so
say.
here, let me ask you this, because this is definitely a scene that we can talk about real quickly too.
Okay,
So
okay,
in the beginning, when the characters are reintroduced and it's 4 years later,
right.
um, we have a group of y'all in a car. So it's
Hmm?
Nina driving, and then we have Kaya, who is going to be played by Candace Ayers. She's going to be your girlfriend. And then you, and then we have Joe and Ryder in the car. And so I'm interested to know, and if you feel like you can't answer this right now, totally fine.
Huh.
With that scene, I think that there is a heavy moment without having Jackson around, uh that everybody's been thinking about. But for you, your girlfriend's very blunt, outspoken, and overall we can agree that Kaya is a bitch. She doesn't think before she speaks, and that's point blank period. So if you were in a situation like this in real life, like how do you feel about that scene? Because I think it's definitely a good opener as time has passed for you guys before Jackson comes back into the picture and everybody reunites.
Well, I think where it starts is the best course of action is to try and diffuse everything to get to like we're going from A to B here, and we want to be able to enjoy ourselves through this trip. And when we get there, and we don't want to come out of the car with this preconceived notion of, hey, we've all just been kind of shitting on each other in a way, and we don't want to walk out of here, covered in it. We want to be having good spirits. We want to be having fun. We want to enjoy our weekend, so to speak, right? So you got to find a way to tread that careful line of, hey, don't be a bitch. Let's have fun.
Period.
Well, because see, like,
Period.
that's a huge thing with Paul is he very much for a while, not a while, but yes, a long time throughout the script until we get to a certain point, he's very much one that's like, okay, Kaya, like just calm down, like just let it go, everybody stop. He tries to be like her anchor, and then eventually as time goes on and shit hits the fan, you're just kind of like, okay, like now you're actually getting on my fucking nerves, like please stop. And I think that, and the reason why I asked you all that is because it's a very pivotal moment for you, for your character in a lot of ways, for her character in a lot of ways, and for everybody else involved, because everybody's used to you and Nina calming down the situation and talking everybody down.
Right.
But when you get into a scenario you've never been put through and you're fighting for your lives and you're tired of the bitching and moaning, and there's other things that also are occurring for Paul. It's a very interesting twist, and that's why I'm really excited to see how this all goes down for you. And I just knew that you were perfect for the role from your work I've seen. I just have to say that. So I'm
I
excited
appreciate
to
you
see
thinking of
this.
me.
Of
I
course.
appreciate you thinking of me on that. It's I'd like to say it's going to be a challenge, but I know deep down it's not going to be a challenge. You know what I mean? Um,
Oh, but you're such
we've
a
all
nice
been
guy.
there.
What are you talking about?
I am until you fully get under my skin and then it's over with.
His
Hmm.
girlfriend was talking too much.
Too much. Um, no, it's we've all kind of been there too, we have that friend that, if you have to introduce your friend like, "Oh, you're gonna love her. She's such a bitch, but you're gonna love her." Or like, "Oh, that's just Jonathan, he's just an asshole. That's just the way he is." We all have that friend we introduce that way, and we know that if we spend more time with that person, that explanation of them is going to be a bit more coarse than friendly. And it's more so once you get put into that position, you start realizing that that person that's always there, that won't leave, is gonna finally get on your nerves, and that person's just gonna finally make you snap. And when you snap and you flip that switch, you get to be an entirely different person. And that's the part that I'm really excited to do, is go from, one side of the coin to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I hope I'm never that friend that everybody warns people about. Now I'm gonna be all self-conscious.
Did I shatter your world?
Ashley,
I'm gonna
sometimes,
think about it for a while.
Not in my
sometimes
description.
you just gotta be,
Thank you.
sometimes you just gotta be just a little bit.
I feel you.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Not all
When
the
it's
time,
Okay.
no.
deemed valid, it's a different story. But if you're just doing it to doing it like Kaya does, that's a problem. I can't wait to get uh Candace on something with you, because I want to see like how you guys talk through everything together. And I went to college with Candace, so I've known Candace for a while,
Oh,
and
good.
she is super fun and super sweet, but in a heartbeat she can play a bitch like no other. And so I think it's going to be really cool to see y'all's dynamic once we get on set, so I'm really pumped for that.
The other part of that I'm mostly excited for, at least from the actor perspective, is that I know that I'm going to have to play Paul very much here, like in my face, when it comes to the facial expressions, when it comes to the body language. I have to find a way to walk that tightrope in a way that uh still comes off as, the diffuser, but the person who's still annoyed that this is what's happening, to the person who is, we're all friends, so we do need to be cordial, but we can still be assholes to each other, to the point where, everything kind of gets turned on its end. And that's when, everything can just be shown instead of being held back. So I'm really excited as an actor to play this character, because I know that I'm going to have to really control the emotions that I wear on my face. And that's the challenging part for this. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Well, I have to say, Anthony, you and I worked on a short called Ray,
Yeah,
and that I don't even know if you had dialogue for the film. I'm not sure.
not a single
No, okay,
line.
I didn't think so. No. And I remember you acted so well with your face. And I it was really inspiring to watch because as someone who's, kind of new in the acting, that's something that I struggle with. I almost feel like it's like I have Botox where I don't really have much expression. I don't have Botox, but but it's
Disclaimer.
disclaimer, I don't have Botox, but I want some. Um, but I think I don't know, it says a certain talent that you're really great at. And that was such an interesting film to watch you and because you had no lines and everything had to be shown on your face, and it was incredible to watch. It was a really cool experience. So I'm excited to see what you do with this character because I know you can do that so well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So let's get into a little bit of Indiegogo here. So, of course, as Ashley and I have talked about briefly and on socials and everything, we do have an Indiegogo campaign for Never Return. We have a multitude of perks. We have video chats. We have cast and crew. We have brand put your brand in the film. So if you have a podcast, if you have a film, you have t-shirts for it, magazines for it, get that perk as soon as possible because that way you can get that in the film. But Anthony, I'm very curious, as time's gone on, is there any perk in particular that you are pretty excited about or like the most?
Yeah, the whole brand in the film, that one. I mean, I know it was a newly added perk, which is fantastic, but I've already sent it off to quite a few people that I know, and I once I kind of get my ducks in a line, I'm going to put my own brand in the film and try and get this as meta as possible. Because I mean, I did that for the last when I did Boy from Below. One of them was get to name a movie in the video store. I put the very first film there I ever wrote and directed in that store. So only if you know, and you see it, you'll know. So I try to keep things as meta as possible. So this is one that I want to, contribute myself with. But yeah, I mean, if you have your own production company, if you have your own band, you have your own Etsy page, you have your own whatever the case may be, that's an amazing perk. I mean, a lot of the perks for Indiegogos kind of, tend to be the same across all platforms, which is like, be an executive producer, get a prop from the show, talk to somebody, poster, DVD, the usual stuff. And there's nothing against it because I mean, like I know a lot of people that do contribute to those things. In fact, I collect scripts myself too. It's a wonderful, wonderful perk. But I've never seen something quite like this uh in like the frequency of all of these Indiegogos, like putting your brand in I think that's an amazing idea. You hit the nail on the head for an amazing perk on that one for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for this Indiegogo that I really tried to do my best at is making things affordable, trying to bring in different perks that you don't see very often or throwing in a twist with ones that you've seen. And it's broken up in certain senses. Like I have, a particular amount with the top billing cast that are going to sign the posters, and then I have the full cast and crew. So I again am trying to make sure that I can make things as affordable as possible and bringing new things into it. And I have a couple more under my sleeve. It's just about finalizing stuff with people. But all in all, I mean, a huge thing too is you don't have to contribute to be a part of helping the film. You can just share it, or if you can only donate $1, you're able to do that, which I really love about Indiegogo because it's not like you have to get a perk to contribute to the film. So I think that's a really nice thing as far as that goes, because everybody's struggling in their own way, and sometimes you can't get the $50 perk or $150 perk, and you're like, I can only do $5, and that's perfectly fine.
Something's better than nothing, especially to us. I mean, we're indie filmmakers. That means that everybody who's an actor on this film is also in some way, shape, or form working as crew as well. And it's not unnoticed amongst each other. We're in this to create something for everybody. You know, like we're here to tell a story, and we're here to do, you know, everybody's job simultaneously because we all share one thing in common. No matter what level of the film we're working at, it's we all want an awesome film to show the world, you know, and that's what we're doing here. That's all that matters.
100%.
And I wanted to ask you with that because you do filmmaking as well. Um, how many films have you made? What's your production company? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my production company is called New Hire Entertainment. And that's like the overall arcing umbrella because I also have a couple of divisions that run under it. So I have a production like New Hire Productions, and that's the one that works mostly on film. And then the entertainment basically covers me when I'm doing like cosplay as well. So in one shape or another, I am doing kind of a little bit of everything, and I want to make sure that my production company is umbrellaed over all of it. When it comes to the film side of things, I'd say I've probably got 4 films that I've written, directed, produced, and edited and thrown out there currently. As of recently, I've partnered up with Spooky Madison, who is with Final Ghoul Productions, Final Ghoul Films. She's a phenomenal writer herself and director and actress. I mean, she's kind of in the same boat I'm in when it comes to making our own films, and we've kind of partnered up to produce our own projects. So as of lately, we just released 2 of them. They're currently floating around in the film freeway right now, and then we've got a few more that we're scheduled to start pumping out this year. I know we've got 3 shorts, 2 features, and 1 series that we're trying to tackle by the end of the year. We
Wow.
actually just had a little meeting about it this afternoon about our next project and where we're at fundraising wise.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
I love to hear that. And see, that's another really amazing thing that I love about the industry as a whole is finding people that love to do it, do filmmaking, acting, directing, all the things as a whole with others. Just creating that group that you can always work with. And then soon enough, like you meet new people and you just keep filtering in more friendships. And I love communicating and connecting with people in this industry. It's super fun. I think that's one of the best parts of it.
Well, and another thing that I discovered is, and I'm gonna try to make this sound as humble as possible because by no means am I trying to stand on a soapbox here. But if somebody who's listening to this can kind of resonate with what I'm about to say, I hope it helps them as well. When I started out acting, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of projects that I was working on because unfortunately, if you're really only acting, you're a you're kind of stuck waiting for the next audition for you to submit to, and unfortunately it is kind of a numbers game in the audition world. The the only guarantee is whoever the client books. It's not up to you, you know. So sitting around in my house as an actor waiting for the next project kind of became a little bit maddening, and that's why I decided to start doing my own projects, you know, starting small a few years ago and then developing over time. So the more and more I work on the other side of the camera, not just as an actor but as a filmmaker, you know, if I'm writing a story or if I'm directing something or if I'm editing something here at my computer, I'm still working. Even if it's not acting at the moment, I'm still working in the industry. I'm still in film and I'm still doing projects. But what I discovered is the more I was working on the other side of the camera, the more that skill was helping me as an actor in front of the camera. And then what I mean is when you're an actor and you're on set and everything's ready to go, if you know without a doubt what everybody's role is on set, you know what the DP is doing, you know what all the grips are doing, and you know how the director wants this to end as a final piece. When you can see all of those pieces in your mind, then when you start to perform, you're performing the final piece in that moment. You know, you're hitting your marks, you're hitting your lighting, and you're giving the camera the best angle because you're seeing the final product as it's unfolding in front of you, and you can communicate even better with not just the director or the DP, but even with the grips and with the sound guy and with the lighting and with your co-stars and everybody else. When you start like when you're on that vibration and everybody's kind of meshing at the same time, it just makes everybody's job that much easier. You know, people aren't directing the actors if the actors know what the crew's doing. So if everybody knows their job and everybody knows each other's job, then nobody has to worry about who's doing what. You just do your thing and it works. It's incredible. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the more I was working behind the camera, the better it was helping me in front of the camera.
I agree with that completely. Mine was the opposite. I started behind the camera doing all crew work, and then that's kind of where I ended up falling into acting in a way. And it was helpful in a sense. I knew what everybody was doing, and I felt, I don't know, maybe it made me able to focus on my job a little better and know, I don't know, just your environment. And I think you gain an appreciation for what everybody's doing too, if you've tried it at least once. And because I mean, I've done a, a ton of PA work, and it can be a really hard job. And it's I think it's helped me be a better crew member and a better actress, at least in my opinion. But especially a better crew member doing all those jobs, and you just have a sense of respect for what everybody's doing.
I mean, I'll vouch for you on all accounts. I mean, I've worked with you
Thank
enough
you.
times now to know that, you know, every time you work with somebody else, it's really cool because you see them grow as, you know, not only a person, but as an artist, you know, in front of the camera or behind the camera, regardless, like your profession, the next project I'm going to be on with you, I'm going to see that like, hey, you're doing even better than you did before, which is incredible because you were already doing amazing as you were before. So like to see that we're always growing and evolving is just fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, no, I completely agree. And yeah, because we'll even say it's two totally different with Shredded and Ray, and just seeing the different ranges you have as an actor. It's so cool to see. And then I even am wow, Anthony did that with his face and it really worked. And then I try to do it and it doesn't work as good, but you know,
This is
it,
this is 36 years of practice.
you don't look 36.
36, liar. You're a liar.
87.
What?
I was born 87. You do the math.
Anthony and I are old, Bryn.
I'm old. I'm an old man. I'm an old man. I mean, if I shave, I tell you what, and cover up, you know, some of these grays that are chilling right here, I can pass for like mid 20s. Don't worry.
I'm gonna be 25 this year.
Oh, remember when?
He said, there's no way you were almost in your 40s. No.
This is gray. This isn't colorization due to anything other than lack of pigment through years of stress.
I'm surprised I haven't gone gray yet. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm old man. But that's also funny because when I was on Boy from Below, you know, we had to play mid 20s. So every morning, you know, I'm like shaving this off completely and somehow I still managed to pass as mid 20s. In fact, the next project, I'm working on two projects coming up here very soon. Um June and July. I'm leading two features back to back with only 4 days in between where I get to rest. And it's basically just traveling from Cleveland to Tennessee, Kentucky, a state below Ohio. Geography.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it.
Anyways, Yeah, so each of these there'll be 2 weeks each, roughly 15 days apiece, with a couple of days in between of basically me traveling from going from one project to another. Funny enough, they're both horror slasher films. Um, the first one is called Hollow Lake. Sorry. It's called Hollow Lake. It's an LGBTQ plus slasher, and I lead that one. And then I jump right off of that one onto Deathwoods, which is a camping slasher, which I'm also
Oh yeah.
leading. But like even, Jake, the director writer of that one, reached out to me the other day when he saw one of my posts. He's like, "Hey man, can we dye some of your grays so you look a little younger?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. I'm happy to. You don't have to ask. Yeah, we're in." Because I'm so old.
Well, you don't look old, but I
No.
mean, that's cool that I wouldn't have thought you were that age, so you're still able to play in your mid-20s. So,
Well, Anthony, I'm curious. My final question here is, so you like the horror genre, or do
Love it.
you period? Same, you're in the right place. So, with that being said, when did you start watching horror films? What are your like top 3 favorite horror films?
Okay. Grew up on horror films. You have my father to thank for that. Um, my parents were divorced pretty early in my timeline, so when I would spend time with my dad, it would be focused on movies, and I know that we watched a lot of ridiculous movies and a lot of cult classics. The number one favorite movie of all time in the form of horror is always going to be Evil Dead 2, which has also spawned my appreciation and love for Bruce Campbell and hands down Sam Raimi, one of my all-time favorite directors, whom of which was actually just in he was just in Cincinnati last month, and I had a chance to see him, but unfortunately the schedules did not work out accordingly. I think he was at Horror Hound. Um, one day I'll meet him. But that is my number one of all time cult classic, Evil Dead 2, which is really cool too, because that is what's propelled me through this whole career, is because I know I've heard the story that, Sam Raimi, when he made The Evil Dead, it was a college film. It was an indie film, it was just a group of friends hanging out in this cabin. Like, I heard the conditions were absolutely awful, the way everybody had to sleep in this no AC, nasty rural Tennessee cabin. Um, Shoestring budget, but like it worked. And then, somebody got a hold of it. Somebody thought it was amazing. Studio gave them some money and said, do something. They remade it on a studio budget, and it just propelled Sam Raimi in his career. And now, I mean, he's worked on numerous projects, and he's also in the MCU. He's done Marvel. Like, he's phenomenal. So to know that where he started is exactly where we're starting.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's possible that he can do it, we can do it. We just got to keep doing it.
100%.
yeah.
So I will live, breathe, eat, and die horror.
As
Sure,
you
we'll go with
should.
that.
Well,
I
that's
noticed you have a.
it's
Go on, please.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
You first.
no, you first.
I
There's
was
so
gonna
much going
say,
on.
before Anthony rudely interrupted me, or maybe I rudely interrupted him, I'm not sure. It's probably me.
Oh, snap. See, how many times do I have to tell my viewers? I'm telling you, sis got spice.
True story.
Um, so I grew up, my parents watching horror films too, and that's just how I got into it. And why are you guys laughing? I'm trying
I'm
to tell
not
a story.
laughing. I'm listening to your story intently.
Okay. And I went to school. I mostly write horror. But what's funny is a lot of the projects I work on are not horror at all. And so that has been very interesting. Um, but I am writing, and I was telling Anthony, I was writing something, and the person who I thought of, I was like, oh my gosh, Anthony would be perfect. But I'm still writing it. So
Oh, is that the one you reached out to me about?
yeah. Hmm.
Word. Well, I'm excited to see what that has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you've always got my attention. All you got to do is just say, "What's up?"
What's up?
Period.
Period. And then we make a film.
Pretty much. I mean, just like we've been saying, when you work with somebody before, you want to keep working with them.
Yeah. Well, I told Bryn, I've told Adam, pretty much anybody, I've told Kamara, um, Anthony, you've always been so kind. Like, I mean, you're a great actor, but I think sometimes Bryn and I talk about this a lot as being females in the industry. Sometimes it's a little tricky, and I want to be careful how I say this because I'm not saying this is like all men at all by any means, but sometimes it can be a little scary and sometimes we don't get treated right. I've had instances where, it's just where I'm at the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do film anymore because I've had such a bad experience. So it's so refreshing to have you in this industry. You're a good person, you're a good actor, and that means the world to me. And so it just makes me want to work with you more and more. And I remember this this is probably getting too personal, but the first time Anthony and I met, I was talking to some girl and I was crying. And I remember Anthony said, "Are you okay?" to me. And that meant so much to me. And I was like, oh my God, like, because sometimes you get on these sets and, people just don't see each other as human beings. And I was like, wow, he sees me as a human being, as, a coworker, as a friend. And I don't know if I ever told you thank you for that, but I want to say thank you because that meant the world to me. And I never forgot that.
You're welcome.
I love
Sorry if that was too personal too.
No, but it's like I said earlier, like we're there. No person's job is greater than anyone else's when we're in the indie film industry because we're all just artists trying to produce a great film. That's what it is at the end of the day. So I'm not going to look at somebody and think less of them because of my role versus their role. They're still a human. I'm still a human. Like it's silly to categorize ourselves like that. I mean, this isn't Hollywood where, I've got a trailer and I've got people waiting on me and I've got a coffee being delivered to my hand and I'm just giving you my hand. Like it's that world may exist, but it doesn't exist in the way that we believe it exists. Like that exists in over dramatization of the media, like and if you really are that kind of a person, then I truly don't want to work with you because that's just too much. Like, please. We're here working on something together. Let's treat each other as equals and let's fucking do it.
Well, when Anthony and I worked on Ray together, I'm probably gonna say his name wrong, Thomas Capaci. He was he did Star Trek, and
Yeah.
he made sure to know all of our names, everyone on the crew, and I mean, he's worked in Hollywood, and I just remember thinking, I he was acting in the film, but I was like, I want to be a filmmaker like him. I want to be an actress like him, where I address everybody by their name and their importance of their role. And it's just so cool when you have those amazing experiences with him, with you, Anthony, and it makes you want to do more and better in the film industry. Period.
Hashtag true story.
Just
Oh
a
yeah.
true story. Um, Bryn, is there anything else you want to ask Anthony?
Anthony, is there anything else that you wanted to add about Never Return? Any socials that you want to plug? Any projects that I know you mentioned a couple, but any projects that you have coming up, coming out that you want to shout out real quick again?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this over Zoom because everybody's already sitting because you might as well get comfortable because there's going to be a lot.
Let's
So,
get comfy, guys.
yeah, get comfy. So, Never Return. There's a lot of things that I'm really excited for when it comes to this film, not only because I get to kind of mentally prepare myself for a very visually emotional roller coaster of a film, which will make sense as we get closer to it, I'm sure. I'm excited to kind of play off of scenes that I've grown up with that already exist in ways of making my own. In fact, even while I was on The Boy from Below, my character, the stoner character, goes. He's kind of the one who's driving the crew around. Guess what car my character is driving? You're not gonna guess. It's
The Scooby
Ash
Doo
Williams'
van.
car from The Evil Dead. Yeah,
I
that's
was way
come
off.
full circle. I get to drive that car in that film.
Oh
Wow.
Point
yeah.
is,
What a
is like
blessing.
when certain scenes and certain things that already exist in the narrative, being able to take it as my own and portray it in a new film, that's a really exciting thing for me because I like being a part of that sort of thing, like connecting these dots. There's some really cool talented people that are going to be on this project that I'm really excited to work with. I mean, aside from the two of you sitting right in front of me, I could talk all day about how wonderful and excited I am to work with the two of you.
And
But I
please
also
do.
noticed that, Bryn, you have a photo back there behind you. It looks like a no, the other one. There's a creepy white face over there. What is that?
This?
Yeah. What is
That's Art
that?
the Clown.
Terrifier.
Yeah, from a very particular series, isn't it?
Terrifier. Hell
Yeah. Is
yeah.
there any connection between that film and our film?
Maybe.
Yeah,
You're gonna
maybe a
have to
little
go
bit.
check out the Never Return movie Instagram and the Indiegogo.
Yeah, because there's a few people attached to it, huh?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to work with these people. Not only that, but I had just gotten off The Boy from Below. I got to work with Leah Voisey, who was the actress who played the clown college girl, the singer in
Yeah.
Terrifier 2. She's an amazing human being. She's so fucking cool. So I feel
Seems
like I'm
like
starting
it.
to make this little bingo card of Terrifier people that I've worked with, and I'm really excited to add to that card. So this is going to be a
Oh
cool
yeah.
thing. As far as some upcoming projects, I had just finished a project called Meet with Roger Connors as an LGBTQ plus slasher. I am the lead antagonist in that film. It should be coming out here very soon. Um, Full disclosure, if you end up seeing this film, I have to say, be prepared. It is an LGBT all male, so you will see a lot of me in that film. There's full frontal. Enjoy.
You did tell me about
Um,
that.
Keep an eye out for The Boy from Below. Hopefully, that should be out by the end of the year, or if not, sometime next year. There's a lot of big names on that one, too. Dee Wallace, Tommy Lee Wallace, Richie Ramone, uh, Leah Voisey, who I just mentioned. And then I've got two projects that I'm working on here very soon that I briefly mentioned. One of them is Hollow Lake. It's another LGBT slasher. I lead that one, another all male. No full frontal on that one. Sorry, you'll have to stick to meat. But Roger Connors is attached to that. I actually get to work alongside of him in this project. So going from, actor director role over to actor role is going to be really kind of fun. I'm excited for that. And then jumping right onto Jake and Celeste's project, Deathwoods down in Kentucky. I'm really excited for that one as well. And then naturally, we transition right into this one here. So there's a lot on the horizon and there's a lot that I've already just kind of wrapped on too. So if it's not one thing, it's another. It's gonna be a crazy wild ride. A lot of horror, a lot of death, a lot of killing. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Well, are there any
Right on.
socials that you want to plug for people to follow you on, check out your work?
So I'm pretty much on all social platforms. However, the only one that I actually do anything on and interact with is going to be Instagram. Find me at therealanthonydain. I am on Facebook, but really Facebook is just kind of like, how I can promote things that's happening. So when Indiegogo stuff comes into play, or if I'm like re-catching up on something, or even for job postings, like that's become more of a business page than anything else. But my self-promoting, my interactions, if you want to interact with me by any way, it's going to be through Instagram. Real Anthony Dain is the handle across all platforms. Twitch, name it.
Dude,
Woohoo.
thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure talking to you, finally meeting you face to face. Let's make that in person like ASAP, okay?
I mean, I'm just waiting. I need the invite.
Yeah, what the heck, Bryn?
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Unacceptable.
But
Unacceptable.
Thank you.
it will happen very, very soon. That I know for a fact. Period. Point blank. But Anthony, thank you so much again for joining us today. It's always been a pleasure chatting with you. I can't wait to work with you. We need to work together more. All of us should put our heads together. Let's just make some cool shit and have fun. I'm down. Always and forever, always, whenever. Sure.
I'm always down.
That rhyme too.
Always and forever is now embedded in my brain from the Vampire Diaries and the originals. So
Fair.
it's
Love
glued
it.
to my vocabulary.
As it should be.
Period.
Well, thank
Bryn,
you for
you wanna-
having me. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I'm really excited to get onto this project when the time comes.
Woo.
Party.
Bryn, do you want to close us out?
I happily can. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Steel City Screams. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Follow us on our socials. I will drop all of those, including Anthony's as well, down in the comments. If you have any questions about the Never Return Indiegogo or the film in general, go ahead and reach out on all of my social media platforms, whether that's Never Return, Steel City Screams, or my personal Instagram. We love you. Thank you. Talk soon. Goodbye, my angels.
Goodbye, my angels.